Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Triple Play Fantasy YouTube channel, and welcome into another mock draft Monday. I would rather not be doing, I always get that wrong. I would not rather, but however you say it, I would rather be with nobody else than my friend Kevin Coleman. This is why we're doing a take two, and you know what? We just go raw, and I don't care. This is my buddy Kevin Coleman, aka the Straw Man. How's it going?
I'm doing good, man. Little sick, but I'm gonna hang tough for the channel. Make sure we get these mock drafts out, and I'm excited because we're doing a rookie draft with rookie picks are included in the Superflex mock, and that's kind of my bread and butter as a Devi guy.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, Kevin's middle name is Devi. And of course, we had to break out the rookies as Kevin gave you a little preview of our 12-team Dynasty Superflex PPR mock draft with rookies included. All right, so again, every single Monday, you guys know we have different mock drafts for you, and it was about time to break out the rookies. So I'm going to pass the baton over to Kevin here, and he's going to kind of lead you guys into how this draft was kind of started out before we get into the actual draft board.
Yeah, so just so everybody understands, when we're looking at this, right there on the left hand side is the pick, and then on the right is the spot it got taken. So what we use kickers as our placeholders. So what you're going to see at the 210 is Justin Tucker, and David was very confused about why Justin Tucker was that high. He's going, hey, is the scoring that good? No, it's not for kickers.
Way to
That's a
air out my dirty
placeholder.
laundry, Kevin.
So Justin Tucker is the 210. He's the 101. So that's the value of the 101 right now, which in my opinion may be a little high, but depending on how you roster build, which we'll talk about. And then you just go through there. So we had the 204 and the 205. You can see that later. But on this one here, I wanted to get at least the top. You're looking at let me do math, 15 picks there. And that's where they're valued at. So you can see a lot of the value comes from the 5th, the 6th, 7th round, and where basically guys are going to taking those rookie placeholders, those picks. But I always think it's interesting. It's a lot of fun to do mocks with these things involved because you never know how people value rookie picks.
Yeah, and just so everybody's familiar, if you're not with the rookie pool, you can check out the Devi Royale, the best podcast doing Devi right now in the game. And they came up with their top 10 prospects going into the draft. So where you see these guys taken, you can kind of put a name to that pick and kind of get a sense, especially with the roster build. You can sense, hey, if they're taking a running back, they're probably maybe taking Isaiah Spiller. If they're taking a wide receiver based off how their roster is being built, they're probably going to be taking, a Treylon Burks. So you can kind of get a good sense here of, again, how they're valuing the rookie picks, how they maybe are high on a certain prospect. I'm certainly looking forward to getting to know these names more as the offseason begins for all these dynasty leagues here. And so, Kev, without further ado, I think we've teased the people long enough. Why don't we go ahead and why don't we share the results of this mock draft that was done here with the rookie picks? And you can see you had the 5th pick. You took Jamar Chase, obviously being super flex, of course. This is, I think, the second time in all the drafts we've done that the first pick in a super flex was Jonathan Taylor and not a quarterback. And I know you're a little bit adverse to that, but I think it's kind of interesting because the other one was by me, and this one was by Adam 1880. Again, you're a very anti non-quarterback for super flex to start it off, correct?
Oh, I'm not anti. I think it just depends. I mean, I took Chase with my 5th pick with Herbert still on the board, and people gave me crap for that. I think it just depends on how you want to build. I thought he built a pretty good roster when you're looking at what he did down there. And I don't hate Taylor being there, but you better build a win now roster, right? If you're gonna get Taylor, you build win now. Like that's why, hey, Russell and Watson, those are 2 very good picks because Russell's gonna have that win now mentality. If Watson comes back, now that's a legit 3 guys that you're looking at there. And then for me, in my build on this one, I know you weren't in this one. My build on this one was just young. So I wanted to see how young I could build my team, and could I maybe build for the future, but also try to win now pieces, and that's kind of how I went.
Yeah, and again, Chase, but you got Lance and Lawrence with your next 2, so 2 young quarterbacks there. Of course, you had to get your guy J.K. Dobbins, but you got beat to Deshaun Watson, so it wasn't a full Kevin draft with this one here. But we're going to talk about the rookies. I think that's the big thing people want to hear for this mock draft. And the first pick of the mock draft here, where a rookie was taken, was in the 2nd round at the 210. Do you think that's too early, or do you like where his head was at?
That's a little early for this rookie class. I don't necessarily think there's a guy like so if you look at his roster right here, he got to get a second quarterback. He's got Murray, and then where does he go with that second quarterback? And if he's thinking about getting a quarterback with the 101, I get a little nervous about that because the quarterback class right now, and if you look from that the thing that we didn't take a quarterback till the 6th, the 106, and the reason why is we don't know how the NFL is going to realize their potential, where these guys are going to get drafted in the NFL draft. I've seen Sam Howell. I saw somebody come out yet today talk about Sam Howell was not going to be a fourth round. He could fall to the 3rd or 4th round. That's crazy to me, thinking about most guys had him slotted in as the 101. And now we're talking about draft guys, all these different guys. So I think it's a little bit of a reach. And especially because if you're looking at where the picks went, the next one went at the 503. So if you're looking at based on the value there, there's certainly not a big teardrop in the 101 and 102 in my mind in this rookie class. So I think it was a little bit of a reach there. I think he got excited about it being there. But if he hits on it, fine. But I think if you're going to take a quarterback there, I'd be a little nervous.
Yeah, I mean, you have to assume it's a quarterback with this format, that it's not somebody that he's not taken, an Isaiah Spiller. He's not going to be taken again, so you guys can see the draft board. He's not taken like a Treylon Burks. You would assume at that high of a pick there. So you probably are right. It's probably a quarterback. Be interesting because it could pay off. Also, I mean, seeing where they land too. I saw a mock draft that had Kenny Pickett going to the Lions with the 2nd pick. So again, could see out where they play out, and if he has the weapons around him, it could be interesting. He was the next player. He took his next pick in that 5th round. The 2nd pick of the 5th round, in the sense of the Younghoe Koo pick, was the first rookie pick of that round at the 5-7. Now I want to stay with Stoshi Man just for a second, because that Harrison Butker pick, that is the 2nd rookie pick of that round. Do you think, just judging by how he's constructed his roster, it's most likely a running back, and would you assume it's most likely Isaiah Spiller?
Yeah, so when you're looking at kind of how he did it and how he kind of broke his stuff down, you see how he went through. He got AJ Brown, he got Higgins. I would say that it's going to be either Breece Hall or Spiller right now. I think those are the clear consensus guys there. And if he could get one of those guys there with building with those young receivers that he has in quarterback, I like it. I think he did go young, and I like what he did there. It's probably going to be Spiller or Breece. But I will say this. I've seen a lot of Spiller hate lately, and I've seen some things. The analytic models don't like Spiller. And I know that he didn't have the usage that you'd want to see because he split time. So the analytics guys are going to be a little bit down on him. I know our guy, Peter, had him at, I believe Peter Howard had him at running back 2 for his class. So he likes him as around that spot. So he's a little higher on him than most. But I've seen some people say don't draft him in the 1st. And so I think a lot, again, just to kind of reiterate what I've been saying, a lot of question marks about these guys. So it's going to be Haller there. So I don't hate that. I don't hate that pick there. Had he gotten somebody like, let's say, Fields instead of maybe taking the 101 and then built his roster around that, and then he had the 503 here with Butker, I would like that probably a little bit more. But it's interesting. His build is probably the most interesting of the class.
Now, Kev, well, first I want to preface that I'm a very big Isaiah Spiller guy as I begin diving into him. I think he's my 101 of the rookie running backs for this class, and I'm going to probably stay with that all offseason, depending on where he gets drafted. But I'm interested for the guy like a Rhett DT here, who had the pick before you. He didn't take any rookies in this draft. One of the few teams that didn't. Do you like that strategy, depending on the roster construction, or do you think when rookies are available, you got to try to draft them some way, some shape, somehow?
No, because, well, he apparently loves the 49ers, my guy, Rhett. But when you're looking at kind of, I really play the board. Like, so if I see the 101 go off in the 2nd, I'm not going to reach for picks. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm not going to go and say, okay, that's too much value. That's too high of a value on those picks there. So I'm just going to let the board fall to me. I love his first couple picks. I love Lamb and Samuel, especially with Allen. Like, that's a legit. Yeah. I know CD is getting some shit right now. And I don't know. I did put out a poll recently. I said, well, who would you rather have in Dynasty, CD or Waddle? And it was like 54-46 for CD, but it's close. Like, people were really picking Waddle, which I was surprised at. And Waddle went at the 401. And that might be the latest we've seen. Waddle, he was going earlier than that. It's weird. Waddle's value has been a little different these last few. I think because the rookie picks in this one. But I don't hate it. So basically, if you have rookie picks included, I think it just depends on how people value those picks. So we've been talking about Stolzman's picks, and he's definitely values them higher than Rhett. So Rhett just let the value come to him and pick players. So I think it's just depends on your strategy, but I think there is a lot of strategy goes into it. It's harder to do it with the picks included in a startup because now you're saying, okay, If I like, so for example, if you look at Rhett's pick here, so before Bass went, so Bass went at the 6'10", which the 6'10" in this draft was the 104. So he could have took Elijah Mitchell or the 104. Who would you rather have next year in Dynasty? So let's just say we go based on our board. Let's say it is Drake London or Breece Hall. Let's say just there. Like, let's just use those two guys. So would you rather have Drake London or Breece Hall over Elijah Mitchell? I think that is the question you have to ask yourself before you draft these picks and say, okay, where's my rankings at? And to me personally, I like Elijah Mitchell, but I probably would rather have Breece Hall right now based on value, because that value pick is going to be worth more when the rookie drafts come.
And based on the fact for the 49ers running back history that they don't ever have backs consistently go the next year. So, no, I'm with you. I think I'd rather take the rookie pick there, even though we did talk about that Elijah Mitchell. This was the highest I think he's gone in any of the mocks that we've done.
He's gone to the 8th every mock we've done. I think 8th or 9th. Like, that's pretty much it. So now you got to see that playoff bump. The playoff bump is real.
Yeah, I mean, again, you just talked about it with Jalen Waddle, how he was kind of bumped down. But one of the things we also talked about with this draft board, which is very interesting, is after Kyle Pitts and Mark Andrews, you had a 3-round break pretty much before George Kittle was taken, and then you had another break, then Kelsey, Goddard, Waller, Hawkinson, Fant, and those guys. Yeah. What did you think of this big gap between the tight ends? Do you think it's that big of a difference between Pitts and Andrews to go all the way down then to Kittle and Kelsey, or should it be closer, do you think?
Yeah, I think that it's pretty fair since it's not tied in premium where it went. I will say Kittle's usage has been really concerning these last few weeks, and from what we've seen, I think that's a real thing. I understand Kelsey, but I mean, God, you're a Chiefs fan. I don't know how long he's going to be able to do this, but he's a phenomenal player. Like, and I did see some people say they'd take him in the first round of redraft leagues next year, which I don't hate that take. I don't hate it. Like, hey, with what he's been able to do. But in Dynasty, yeah, I do think Waller, people are forgetting about Waller a lot. 706, I still think he's a value there because I still think the Raiders use him, but there's some question marks. Who's going to be the quarterback? Who's going to be the offensive coordinator? So I can see where that's going. I will say, though, if you don't get one of those two guys at the top, like, I got stuck with Mike Gesicki, and I wanted to throw up a little bit in my mouth. I never drafted him before. This is the first time I've ever drafted him. And where are you going to go? Like, Pat Freiermuth is there in the 9th. Like, so when you're looking at those tight ends, I don't know. Do you think Dawson Knox in the 9th is a good value? Because I wanted Dawson Knox in the 10th. That's what I was looking for. I was going to hopefully get him, but he went in the 9-12. So, hey, my guy Brandon, it took him in the 9th. Do you like that pick?
I mean, looking where he's going, like that area, I'm kind of out on Fant, at least right now. And I've seen some people in the industry that kind of identify tight ends that say that he's kind of not elite as many people think he is. So to get him after that, and I think Freiermuth was very touchdown dependent, which I don't think people realize, is he wasn't scoring touchdowns. He wasn't giving you many fantasy points. With a new quarterback there, if it's Mason Rudolph or whoever else, he might not get that same type of red zone usage. So I think I would still take Knox over him in that sense, because I think Knox next year, it's only him and Diggs technically that are, and I think Isaiah McKenzie might be a free agent as well, but they're losing a lot of pass catchers in the Bills offense, and you can see that he's a trusted red zone target for Josh Allen, and Josh Allen's obviously going to be there for a very long time. So I would take Knox over Fant and Freiermuth, and obviously over Gesicki, which he did go. So I very much like that value for him.
Hey, and buyer beware of Dalton Schultz. Like, I think we need to all relax on Dalton Schultz a little bit. Like, Andrew Cooper, who is, he's at Coupe Fiasco. He does a lot of stuff for Fantasy Alarm.
Yeah,
I like him a lot. He's a big tight end guy, so got to shout out tight end guys. He put a tweet out that I liked about it today. Was said, Dalton Schultz could be the next Austin Hooper, and I don't hate that take.
Comparison.
I mean, I don't hate it, right? And then when you look at Dalton Schultz, now if he goes in free agency, here's a question mark. If Dallas brings him back, if they afford him, they can pay him. I don't necessarily hate his ceiling. I don't love it either. It's in the middle, like it's okay. But if he goes somewhere else, I'd be a little nervous unless he finds himself, let's say he goes to the Chargers, right? Then we're like, oh, okay, that's a good landing spot for him and those type of things. But like Dalton to me is beware of where you're going to draft him, because I think he's going to get drafted a little higher based on season end finishing. And with these tight ends, they're disgusting. Like, and if you're looking at the 10th to 13th range, like it's interesting. Fant is I think Fant's the best value on this board, because at the 8-10, I think he could be a tight end 1. And if he gets a quarterback next year, like we've been saying for Denver for the last, it feels like 10 years, I think his value is going to shoot through the roof.
It's kind of interesting we differ on Fant. Just I've seen a lot of the metrics just about him, and it seems like that he doesn't have that factor to become an elite tight end. But yeah, maybe a quarterback can fix a lot of woes there. And it's interesting you bring about the Dalton Schultz and the Austin Hooper comparison. I think it's very interesting to see, but he is a free agent for those that don't know. And I mean, if he goes to a team like Jacksonville, and they're losing DJ Chark's a free agent right now. You saw how much Trevor Lawrence was targeting the tight end. If he becomes, instead of being like the fourth option on a Dallas offense, if he becomes the number 2 option in an offense, how much helium is he going to get? So he's kind of a what if right now going in that area of the draft. But as we approach the bottom here, there were a lot more rookie picks, specifically from the guy that went after you, Boyd's. He actually took rookies in 5 of his last 6 picks. What do you think of that? Now, obviously, again, roster construction, how the board falls to you, of course, are big factors. But what do you think of the potential strategy of basically being like, instead of taking with all these guys that you see at the end here, I'm going to take the potential upside that the rookies are going to give me in this range?
That makes me nervous. So if we look at like the board of what he did, so if you're looking at, Boys went with Blewett, Cody Blewett first, 807. So that's the 108. So he got the 108. Then he went with Lutz. And, when you're thinking of like where that went, he got the 111. And then with Elliott at the 1106. So when you're looking at kind of where he went, he got the 202 and stuff. So I don't hate the value, to be honest. Like, again, though, when you're looking at his roster construction, I know what he's doing. He's smart. So if you look at the board there, he went Herbert, and then he went running back, and then he went wide receiver with Moore and Waller. And then basically what he's going to do with those rookie picks, and what I would do with those rookie picks, those will all be wide receivers. I'm going to draft a wide receiver with every single one of those rookie picks because that's the value. And I'm going to tell you right now, in your rookie drafts, from the 108 to 109, because the one that we did with the Denver Royale, that was based on our scouting. That's not based on how these drafts are going to do. Because I know, quarterbacks in Superflex are going to get pushed up. And someone's going to overdraft a running back. We saw it all the time. We saw it with Gainwell, these other guys last year. So these guys are going to get pushed down. So you're going to see the prime area for wide receivers is going to be 109 to like 203. So what Boyd is going to do is he's going to use those picks on wide receivers, and he's going to build around those running backs. And I actually do not hate it. And then he'll probably get a quarterback too. Like let's say Malik Willis gets drafted. He gets the capital that people like. Then you have a high upside fantasy asset there. So I don't hate the idea. You got to hit on 2 of those wide receivers though, right? So like there is some risk, but I don't hate it.
Well, I was going to also ask, so like we look at it right now, you assume that Tucker pick is going to be a quarterback, and you'd assume a lot of these picks in this middle area here are going to be a mix of either quarterbacks or they're going to probably be like a running back or those really high-end wide receivers. Do you think where his Blewett pick is in the 8th round, that the game changer wide receivers, and again, we'll just use your guys' board from the Devy Royale, like the Treylon Burks, the Garrett Wilsons, those types of guys, like, are you worried that by the point where he took his first rookie, that those wide receiver prospects might be gone?
Not really. Not maybe. I think it just depends on the board and where you're looking at it there. I still think that there's a big clump of guys though. So like when you're looking at the tiers, you might not get the top tier guy, but that tier 2 is pretty full of guys. Wandale, these other guys that a lot of people like it in the draft class. So like I think it's risky, right? But if you're looking at the board, you look at the wide receivers that went after. Like I was just looking at it. Like, do you have faith in Tony? Kadarius Toney, like he's okay. Michael Gallup coming off of ACL. DJ Chark, again, ACL. Brandon Cooks, who I love. Brandon Cooks in the 11th. Let's talk about it. That's ridiculous value.
That's insane value.
Our guy Tommy did a great job in his drafts, and I like what he did all the way through. But Brandon Cooks in the 11th round is an insane value. Even Jefferson, I like. It's a sneaky little play there. But Brandon Cooks in the 11th, that might have been a pick I would take over a rookie, right? But again, especially with this team, with how Boyd's is kind of building it there. But overall, like I think there's always a risk there. But like when you're looking at it, Robert Woods in the 12th, I know he's coming off an injury, but again, there's some value plays in the 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Yeah, and I think ultimately at the end of the day, like Kevin and I are talking about, again, when you do these rookie drafts, you have to obviously roster construction. If you're able to, people are pushing rookies up, then you're able to, draft guys that are proving it now that you're able to get at a value. Or maybe right now that you're like, hey, the way that I'm drafting, I'm building for the future, so I'm going to stockpile more rookie picks. And there's certain guys I'm very high on that I want to be able to get and make sure I get. And I know, Kevin, you're not huge on a lot of these draft prospects this year. There are some that you like, but you're more focused to 2023. I know that's the draft that you're really excited about. So maybe when you draft, maybe, and again, this is me speculating, you'll take some rookies, but you wouldn't be as rookie heavy as you might be next year. So you can kind of scout the draft class and figure out, hey, am I going to go all in on these rookies, or am I going to wait till 2023 when that huge QB pack, like the Bryce Youngs might be coming out, like that might be where I'm trying to take a rookie earlier. Is that kind of how you feel like with these rookie drafts? You have to feel like, hey, how in am I on this rookie class for me to want to push them up a little bit more?
Yeah, I will say this, like one of the strategies that I use a lot, if I'm going to do a draft that has rookie picks like we did, including in it, I will most likely not take them because I think the value is too high for these other guys. And I know 23 is a good class anyway, and I'll actually move back. Like, so we didn't have trading back or forward in this, but if a guy wants to move up to get a rookie pick, I'll say, okay, I'll do that. Give me your 23 first. And I will just build through that next class that I really like, and I'll just kind of keep building value as I go. And I think that's a good, valuable, way to build your rosters there, because you know how it is. People, you're starting to do it now. You're getting that rookie fever. You start falling in love with these prospects. You want to go get them, and then so I use that to my advantage. And a lot of times, like I trade my youth a lot. Like I like to win the first couple of years of dynasty leagues, and I'll just kind of churn through my roster. But I do think that there's value to it. But I still like, if you look at my team, I only took one rookie pick, and that was it. It was in the 8th round where I felt like I could get a wide receiver that I wanted, basically in the late first. But after that, I took Chase, Lance, Lawrence, Dobbins, Etienne, Smith, Allen. Like, so I took value when it just fell to me. And that's kind of how I built it. And then afterwards, I built it out later. And I do want to say, I think Jameis Winston is a very good value right now in Superflex leagues. Getting him in the 13th, 14th, 15th round, he's going to go somewhere and play. He didn't look terrible this year before he hurt knee. And with the way the landscape is, that might not be a bad pick. I'd rather get Jameis in the 13th than Baker Mayfield.
God, ending this episode with Jameis and Baker Mayfield talk. Hopefully, you guys are staying away for the last part of this video.
Come on! Don't be doing that to my boy Jameis. No, but I think there's value there, and I do also. I just want to point out too, like if you're in these drafts, just understand you got to know the draft class. Like understand where you're at, value on where you're at, and also too, if you take picks, the other thing is you can unload those picks. Like if the guy that has the 101. Let's say like, something happens right now and Brandon's picks, like let's say Rodgers leaves and Cousins no longer is there and he needs a quarterback. Now you can kind of shift these guys and use them for value and trade the 101 and get some return on it. So there's always that too. Like you're not picking guys yet, you're just picking draft slots. So you can always use that value and our lead up to the draft to use that. And that's where you can also trade. So if you're active and can trade, I think there's a value to doing it that way too.
Yeah, again, make sure you're active, make sure you're keeping up with everything, because basically there is no off season if you're really into fantasy football and you want to become a better player. So always, again, starting out by checking out these mock drafts every single Monday, we'll get you right. We'll make sure that you guys are in tune to everything going on in the off season. And for those, again, that are struggling with rookies, first of all, you have Kevin, who's a great resource. You can follow him at @theboys_22 on Twitter, always posting about a bunch of great Devy prospects. And we're going to start having prospects breaking down on this YouTube channel here, where you're going to be able to kind of see a little bit some profiles of these high-end draft prospects, and we're going to break down everything you need to know about them. So a bunch of great stuff coming, whether it's on the web, whether it's on the YouTube channel. Again, we appreciate every single one of you checking out the YouTube channel, checking out the Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram, wherever you check out Triple Play Fantasy. As always, I like to leave Kevin with some parting words for you also. Kevin, what do you want to say to the people?
I just want to say, hey, get on these rookie picks, understand these prospects, and you know what? Check out different avenues that you can get these values here, and be careful of groupthink with these rookies. I see it a lot, and like someone will dive on that has 50,000 followers and say, "Oh, this is my guy," and then everybody else says, "This is my guy." And especially in rookie drafts, draft based on your own board, not on consensus board. That's how you guys get Justin Jefferson and not Jalen Reagor. Right? Like you'll draft the guys that you want because it makes sense for you. Don't worry about going against consensus. Like trust your gut, because I've seen this happen way too many times where people overdrafting based on, oh, Reagor's going to be this guy. And now we're looking at Reagor is probably going to be out of the league pretty soon. And now Justin Jefferson is one of the best wide receivers that we've probably seen.
Yeah, again, stay on everything. And we appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. And please make sure before you get out of here that you smash that like button, like I just smashed my Jello cup, and leave a comment, anything down below. You like Kevin's beard, you like his chalkboard, you like me smashing Jello cups, whatever you want to do, just leave a comment below. And we appreciate you guys every single week. We'll be right back here next Monday with a different mock draft for you. So until then, see you guys later.
See you guys.